Hello and welcome to the Fulhamish podcast. Today it is a special end of season awards episode as we look back and give out some gongs for the 24-25 campaign. And what a lineup I have here on stage to present these awards. Elizabeth Barnard, hello.
Hi Sammy, how are you?
Good, thank you. And Dan Cook is here as well.
Hello, Sammy.
How are we doing?
Doing good. I think it's nice. Me and Elizabeth had a lovely quick take that was, I think, really quite whimsical on Sunday. So it's nice to follow that up. We spoke a lot about what a lovely season it's been. So it's nice to really go into the dregs of it and get stuck in.
I mean, we've done kind of awards on Fulhamish before. We always say who has scored the goal of the season, who's been the player of the season. This one, though, is a bit more in-depth. We've got a lot of categories to get through today. What I feel like we're lacking, and maybe with a bit more preparation, we're lacking a name. Like, I mean, the Fulham Oscars doesn't really roll off the tongue. I don't know, the black and white globes. Like, I'm just trying to think.
Well, that's actually truly terrible.
The Tony Robinsons. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, that's
very
better.
specific.
It's better. Anyway, if you have a good name suggestion for what because I feel actually it's a lot of fun. I think we could make this maybe an annual thing. As I say, there's so many categories. I don't actually know how many categories, so we need to get into this. We're gonna have to keep all of our answers fairly brief to get through all of them. I think I've been to a few awards dues lately, and now it's all a money-making exercise, right? All of these awards. And what they do is they pile the amount of awards sky high so as many people can get nominated as possible. And we're following suit. We have a lot of awards today. Sadly, we're getting no money. Sadly, no money is trading hands. So we're going to start, first of all, though, with the biggies, because I think it will then lead into some of the more funny niche ones later on. So, very, very first of all, player of the season. Now, by the time that this is out, the official player of the season may be out, but we're doing this without the knowledge of who the fan base has picked as the player of the season, which I actually quite like. It means that it's an unbiased opinion. We're not going to just go and follow the crowd here. So Dan, I will start with you, player of the season.
Just consult my notebook for anyone watching on YouTube. This is proper prep. I've got the top of my list, and I've been thinking about this for a while anyway. Calvin Bassey. I think this is a really difficult one to give this season because probably 4 months in it would have been Alex Iwobi, and then maybe 6 months in it would have been potentially Sasha Lukic. I think across the entire season, Calvin Bassey's kept his performance at the highest level, and he probably gets it for me.
Okay, Liz?
Also got a notebook. Not so much preparation time because Sammy told me genuinely 5 minutes before we hit record that I would be on the show.
Don't blame me. Blame George, who dropped out with about 30 seconds
George
to go.
is doing some work that is arguably more important right now. But
Arguably.
It's Sasha Lukic for me.
Ooh.
It's kind of for a similar reason to Dan, but I actually just think Sasha Lukic has been incredibly consistent this season and has been a difference maker for us.
Okay. I've gone for one of your two choices. So there is going to be a majority. It is Calvin Bassey. I was torn between Sasha and Calvin. Like you, Dan, I think Alex Iwobi was a clear front runner for all of the season. And it's not like he ended the season terribly, but I think ultimately player of the season needs to keep up the work rate over a season. I also think, I remember what you said, I think it was last year, Dan, about how player of the season often is the fans' nod to the player that maybe is going a little bit under the radar. And I think probably Anthony Robinson might deserve to win player of the season again, but he won it last year. And I have a funny feeling that the fans won't give it to Anthony Robinson, not because we don't think he's been an incredible left back, potentially the best left back in the Premier League, but I think Calvin Bassey is a bit more of an under the radar, the heads kind of Fulham player of the year. So, okay, it's 2-1 to Calvin Bassey. Up on stage you come, Calvin.
I also think it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if Calvin Bassey's won a single player of the match award across this season. It'd be interesting to see. Like, nothing jumps to mind, right? But I think that maybe speaks to his consistency and his under the radarness a little bit, that there's been very few games where you've come out and said Calvin Bassey was not good. Yeah, and I think that deserves a lot of credit.
And he had a real run, I feel like February, March, where genuinely I thought he was going to score a solo run. I think if he had done one,
yeah.
I think it would. Like if he'd scored that one at Stamford Bridge, I mean that would have 100% cemented it for Calvin Bassey. But yeah, incredible season that he's had. Then we're going for goal. Now I have said in my criteria to you both with this category, mostly for technique, but moment come into it. Now I think that sometimes goal of the season is always very dubious, but obviously I think if it was just moment, we know it's going to be more of the kind of the Brentfords, the Chelseas. But I did actually just want to celebrate the best goals that Fulham scored this season, not just because it was a 90th minute winner against a rival. So we'll go in reverse order. Liz.
I'm really sorry I've taken a sledgehammer to your criteria. I think this goal has a lovely technique, but I can't separate the emotion from it, and I can't award it. I can't, if I look back on all the goals he scored this season, which I did, obviously, I can't separate. I can't say this isn't it. So it's Ryan Sessegnon versus Spurs.
I knew
I think the way he takes it and takes it past Ben Davies is beautiful, and I think it is lovely that he's basically falling over as he hits it, and it's still a gorgeous strike into the top corner.
No, I think it's valid. And look, I wasn't saying no emotion. I just was also not wanting it to just be Harry Wilson's shoulder in against Brentford at the Hammersmith End, which was not a great goal, but it was obviously the best goal of the season in lots of ways.
Yeah.
So I think Sess's goal against Spurs was at least like there was some good technique to it. So I think it's valid. Dan?
I mean, I had a short list of 6. I'm not going to read all of them out. I will say that goal didn't make the list. It was a good goal, though. I think the 3 that I'd probably highlight, Wilson's first against Brentford in the 2-1 win at home.
Yeah.
That is in the running for goal of the season across the Premier League. And the technique and the thought is incredible. I'm still not entirely certain how intentional it was, which maybe goes against him slightly. But
didn't make the match of the day goal of the month, which says a lot.
Yeah, it says a lot. But then a couple I think they've gone under the radar in the conversation. Andreas Pereira against Manchester City away. Raul Jimenez's back heel assist. And now not all goals of the season have to be superb by the goal scorer themselves. That assist is pretty special.
Can a goal win it if it's just the assist, like Andreas Pereira?
I think you get team goals that are like, like it's like that Argentina goal in the World Cup where it was like 26 passes,
or even the famous Jack Wilshere against Norwich was hardly because his side foot into the net was outrageous technique. It was the build up. But yeah, it is a bit weird considering it was basically just a 2 yards out smash it from Andrea. He still had to finish it, but it was all about the pass.
And the last one, and the more I think about it, the more I lean to it. Rodrigo Muniz against Liverpool at home.
Yes.
The touch over the shoulder to get in behind Virgil van Dijk and then bury it across goal. I think it might be my winner.
It is also my winner.
Oh goodness.
This is a bit embarrassing, but we've gone for 2 of the same. Yeah, Muniz against Liverpool was my winner for goal of the season, technique-wise. My other 2 close contenders, Iwobi in the game we lost against Wolves.
Yes.
It's a really, really lovely goal. Obviously, it got forgotten about because we ended up losing 4-1. But I think in terms of pure strike, I think it's the best. And I think it's better than Wilson's against Brentford away, which is obviously... I'm surprised that none of us actually mentioned Wilson against Brentford away. I thought that was actually going to be the obvious one. You'll be delighted to know, Liz, I put in third Sessegnon against Wolves.
Wow, against Wolves?
I actually think that is such an impressive goal. I think the pass from Andreas to put him through is brilliant. I think the finish is and it's just fantastic team build up in it as well. So that was it was certainly never going to win it, but it was definitely my kind of notable mention was for Cess against Wolves, and it was a great moment.
Yeah, good hold up play, Rodrigo Muniz. I think in the build up to that goal, it was an all round good goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up, moment of the season. So there's a lot of contenders here. This is a really, really tough one, and it speaks to what a season it was that this is so difficult, because normally there is just 1 or 2, but there's plenty to choose from here. So we'll go back to Dan again.
I think I have to be boring and give for me, the obvious one is Brentford at home is my moment of the season. That as that second goal goes in, I can't remember celebrating a goal like that. It was just incredible. The moment, the horridness of that game up to that point as well. Aaron, who sits in front of me, vaulted his row of seats and leapt into my arms to celebrate that goal. There's lots, right? And I'll let you guys pick some other ones up, but Brentford at home, I wasn't at Chelsea away. So whilst it's an amazing moment, I can't have it as my moment of the season because I'm actually still a little bit bitter that I wasn't there.
Yeah. Liz?
I'm in a very similar boat to you in that I wasn't at Chelsea away. I also wasn't at Brentford at home. I wasn't at Brentford away. I wasn't at Manchester United in the Cup. I wasn't at Liverpool at home. So really, I've had a fortunate run of fixtures this season. My moment of the season is really easy as well. It's beating Man U on penalties.
Okay.
I can't even explain the feeling of like sheer joy and relief that gave me. And also there is just a thing like being in this generation, growing up in the South, everyone I knew was a Manchester United fan. And it's always delightful when they lose. But when they lose in that way, where it's so important for them that they're getting a trophy this season, and that's maybe their last realistic hope. I mean, I know they made it to the Europa League final. And the way that we did it with a burnt Leno save rather than, a miss from them putting it wide or anything like that, I just have never felt feeling like it.
Yeah, it's mine. I keep just copying you, one of you guys. But yeah, beating United in penalties was mine. Likewise, there are 3 people around this table that weren't it. And if Jack Collins wasn't at our wedding today, no doubt I can speak for him that Chelsea away would be his, and it would be for George as well, because they were both at Chelsea. For me, I will always prioritise a game that I was at, and that feeling of being in the away end at Old Trafford, the enormity of it. And we obviously didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't then know we were going to lose in the quarterfinals at that moment. At the time, I genuinely was like, we might win the cup.
Yeah.
And that was the exciting feeling of it. Avas and George Rossiter were with me that day, and there was a bunch of us up to the side of it. And there was genuine just bear hugs from so many people. And yet, yes, that happened against Brentford. And Brentford are the closest second that there's ever been. But United going to Old Trafford and doing that, it felt amazing at the time.
And I wasn't there either, but I felt like that energy radiated in a way that just went well beyond the walls, the 4 walls, 2 stadiums of walls of Old Trafford.
Okay, now we're getting into a little bit more niche territory, which I like. This is what it's all about. So I've gone for underrated player of the season, and with a bit more info, I said the one who won't get the plaudits but should get more. So I'm hoping for a bit more controversy here. I'm hoping we all have different options here. Should I go first? Because I've been asking you two to go first. I feel like people are going to hate me for this.
Oh my God, we got the same one.
I said Adama.
Oh,
Okay, hear me out.
That's huge.
I just think that there have been some big goals and big moments this season where Adama has delivered. And yes, do not get me wrong, the way he dawdled back for Pedro Neto's goal against Chelsea was awful. And he has had some really, really big stinkers. But actually, you look back over the season and quite a few of the key moments, Adama was there and Adama did something. Obviously, 2 assists, Brentford away. He got the assist for Harry Wilson's equaliser. It was his assist for Emil Smith-Rowe's header against Nottingham Forest. It was that outrageous cross from the right-hand side.
Southampton away.
Southampton away. It was his assist as well. I just think that, yes, his contract renewal, and understandably, was pilloried by a lot of people who don't really understand what he brings, and that he is a bit lazy and his attitude sometimes is not good. But I just think that actually he's low-key been quite important quite a few times. And for me, I still think that it's not the end of the world to keep him for one more year and see what happens. So yeah, it's Dharma for me. Liz?
I wish I'd gone to Dan first. Mine...
I can do.
Okay.
Dan first.
I've got 2 that I'm going to bring up, if that's okay. Bernd Leno.
Yeah.
Because he's had, 2 bad games all season? West Ham away.
That was the only thing I thought, is he underrated?
I think he is. I think Bernd Leno is, because you will not see a single suggestion for player of the season vote for him, I don't think. And actually, he's so dependable. And And for me, he flies under the radar most seasons, barring his first season, because we were like a little bit apprehensive. We were still assessing him first season. Now we've all become a little bit blind, I think, to how important he is. And then the other one, I've got Raul. He's going to finish as our top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. Double figures.
Yeah.
No one's going to... I don't think he's been our player of the season, and I don't think he should necessarily be in the shout, but I don't think he gets enough credit for that. Like, everyone focuses on like how much we've missed Rodrigo Muniz and like the injuries and stuff. Raul's played ahead of him most of this season, and it's because he was scoring more goals.
Okay. Liz?
I was thinking about going for a different answer, but I'm going to say Timothy Castagna.
Really thought you were going to say Ryan Sessegnon. I really thought. I was like, he has not been underrated by you.
Yeah, I don't think. I think Ryan Sessegnon is a lot of things, like the best player to ever play, but I don't think he's underrated. I think he's highly rated by the Fulham fan base because of what he means to us, and rightly so. So I would never give him the underrated award. Timothy Castagna just put in a shift solidly. And yeah, there were errors, there were problems, but I thought over the period that he was performing, every single game, all 90, every single game, he was so solidly decent throughout that whole thing. I was going to say, controversially, Andreas Pereira, because I think he's so hated and I think it's so unwarranted. I think he's underrated in that sense. He doesn't fly under the radar, but I think the level of hatred against him is just not something that I resonate with.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my, like, you know, angel on my shoulder, Jack Collins shout.
Okay, fair. I think that Castagna, I think especially once I learned that effectively all those performances it must have been done through the pain barrier.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Absolutely.
I think puts such a new context on the shift that he did. The fact that as soon as Kenny was back, he basically needed to have surgery just shows that he must have, those last kind of 3 or 4 must have been so tough.
Yeah.
I think there's a big element of what might have been if our right back situation had been better all season. You even think back to the Palace game and stuff like that, and how all the goals kind of came from that side. It was such a, I mean, we're going to do that is one of our categories later.
Yes.
Next up, I thought this would be easier when I came up with the category, and in the end actually found it quite hard to pin it down. I said performance of the season. So this is for one player in one match. Just something that stands out as like, that player was unplayable that day. So, Elizabeth?
I went for, again, you're going to be annoyed because I haven't I haven't really thought about the full 90s and stuff. I've just thought about the impact, and therefore I've gone for Harry Wilson versus Brentford.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, yeah. It is the obvious one, but it is also probably one of the right ones, right?
Yeah.
Dan?
Bernd Leno against Manchester United in the FA Cup. I think that was like the penalty shootout, great, but there were a couple of saves in extra time and normal time that kept us in that game. And I think the only reason we got to penalty shootout was because of Bernd Leno. And then the fact that he ends up being the hero through the penalty shootout as well. Like the save that really sticks out is Chido Obi Martin's effort towards the end of the game. He tries to sort of shift it over Leno, and you can see from the camera angle the moment that Leno reacts to see where it's going and brings up a big left hand. It's that one for me. Yeah,
that's a really good suggestion. I went for Anthony Robinson against Liverpool away. It was 2 assists that day. Salah in his pocket. I felt like that game was the one that made me think, like, I know it probably doesn't make sense for Liverpool to buy him, age profile, Milos Kerkez, all of that. But I was like, if the transfer gurus at Liverpool were there that day, they must have gone like, and they saw what happened to Andy Robertson, they must have just thought, this guy has to be playing for Liverpool next season. Hopefully, obviously, that isn't the case, but I thought that was just incredible that day. 2 assists, I'm pretty sure, almost certain he was man of the match that day. And it just, as soon as I thought about it, it was the one that stood out, other than like the obvious, like Wilson against Brentford.
Yeah. The other honourable mention, and I think this one, I'd forgotten about it until I looked back, Alex Iwobi against Brighton at home.
That was my second.
And that was in his peak. That was him when he was really flying pre-Christmas. Big game. That was a game that we were worried about. We knew that we'd be scrapping with Brighton throughout the season, fighting for positions. He scored 2. He was so influential. And it was at that point when everyone was already signed. I feel like it was that game that everyone was like, right, he's our player of the season. It's done. And I think what happened after that has led to us sort of forgetting it. But yeah, looking back at that one, I forgot how good he was.
Okay. Next up, we're going to do kind of like away/home games. So we've got 4 categories here. We can rattle through these. So best away game. I'm kind of more mean like away day as much as anything. I went for United away in the cup. Obviously, I mentioned it a minute ago. I just think from start to finish, that was the one that stood out to me. Obviously, I think Brentford a couple of weeks ago, an incredibly close shout. There have been some brilliant ones. We're going to do unexpected favourite in a moment to kind of give it those moments which were a little bit more under the radar. But just in terms of headline away game, United in the cup for me.
Again, saw very few wins on the road this season, had some lovely days out. So I have to go for a win, and really my unexpected away is my favourite, but it was so unexpected that it will have to be my unexpected one. So I'm going for Wigan away. I just had the best pie of my life. And then the away end that day was just like proper Fulham.
So is that your best away game or unexpected?
The best away game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan?
Yeah, that did my list. Cracking day out. The people of Wigan were diamond as well.
Yeah.
Just an all-round great day. Can't have Chelsea, wasn't there, as we've mentioned. So ultimately is Brentford for me.
Best home game. I mean, yeah, is there any doubt?
Yeah, it's Brentford, isn't it?
Oh, it was if you weren't there.
Yes.
If you were, say, on holiday and didn't watch the game and just check the score afterwards. Mine's Spurs.
Okay.
Yeah, just the magic of that goal, you know.
Fulhamish live show afterwards.
Fulhamish live show afterwards. I remember finishing that day and getting on the coach home and thinking, I've just experienced a million perfect minutes today.
I went for Brentford. I don't think that was too difficult. Unexpected favourite away day. Dan?
I will leave the one that you're going for because I know what it is and it was on my list as well. But to offer some balance, Newcastle.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
I went up to Newcastle with less than 0 expectations. We're horrible up there frequently. I went up there 2 years ago and saw Layvin Kazawa play at left back and get rinsed all game. And so for us to play in the purple, win 2-1 in a great sort of late flurry sort of fashion, I took my top off. It was a cracking, unexpectedly brilliant away day, and also what a place to watch football.
Yeah, and to see a win as well, and a really, not a win anyone saw coming. I think we all had that chalked down as just like 0 points. Elizabeth?
It's Wolves away,
yeah,
obviously.
It is Wolves away.
Tuesday night, freezing cold, like kind of a nightmare to do, very, very late night, and then getting to the pub and finding out that Ryan Sessegnon was starting and then him scoring within the first minute. When we're talking about moments of the season, I just will never forget that feeling.
Actually, just thinking about it, goal of the season, Muniz Fulham's second that day should be in the running.
It's also a real advertisement for making sure that you're there when the whistle blows, both halves.
Yeah. I think, as I say, Wolves definitely is up there. And I think sometimes I love those away days where it just felt difficult. It smelt difficult. The moment the fixture list came out, you thought, Wolves Tuesday night, February, is not going to be many at that one. And sometimes if you can get to them, they often are magic. I put Leicester City here. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, Fulham won. It was 2-0. It was just a ridiculously good atmosphere. Southampton was a close second. Southampton was a similar feeling, but I think Leicester, for the fact that it was dominant, there was a lot of head in hands at Southampton. Oh my God, we're going to throw this away. Leicester was just one of those where we were pretty obviously winning it for most of the game, and we just had a great time, and the away end was in full voice that day. So I went for Leicester. Unexpected favourite home game. I went for Spurs in this one. I think just it deserves a mention. It was fantastic from start to end. A rare clean sheet as well. So I went for Spurs.
I saw 2 home wins this season. Isn't that appalling? I've been to so many games as well. So I've gone for the other home win that I saw, which was Newcastle.
Great.
But it was unexpected. We never ever beat them, and we beat them so comprehensively. And it was such a fun game to be at.
Yeah, it was I felt like that was peak Emil Smith Rowe at that game as well, wasn't it? Dan?
That made my list. I thought that one was a really good one. To offer some balance, maybe. I mean, obviously, Liverpool is... unexpected. But like, I still think like that probably shifts more into just like the best.
Yeah.
Forest at home.
Yeah.
I think,
so true.
again, moments-wise, when you take context of the game, we knew how big that game was. We were coming into it being like, if we win, it starts to look really exciting. But we also just knew that Forest like kryptonite for us, and somehow we've come away with 6 points off them this season. Calvin Bassey scoring at the back post to win us that game, yeah. And that was like an unexpected, even during the game, watching it happen, I was like, I did not expect this.
Yeah. All right, we will take a break there. Afterwards, we've got some more categories, and I feel like this is where it all gets exciting. Part 2 of the Fulhamish podcast. It is the end of season awards. We still haven't got a name for it, but we are flying through them. It'll be the drinks reception at the end very, very soon. But we need to get into the second half of the awards, and the next, I think there's probably about 7 or 8 left. This is where I think it gets like away from the usual ones into some more interesting categories. This next one, for me, I think could be the best. Your biggest personal head loss of the season. So what moment sent you over the edge? And feel free to put in any kind of potential contenders, because I definitely have a couple. Dan, I'll start with you.
I actually wrote this one down with you in mind because you witnessed it. West Ham away.
I knew it.
Oh, yes, I remember
My
this.
head flew. It was obviously like a build-up of everything that happened in the game and the fact that we really did need to win and should have won. It was when the ref blew on bang on the second that added time had elapsed, despite the fact the ball had barely been in play. I just lost it. Just completely lost. And Sammy witnessed me hit something metallic on the way out that made a very, very big noise and made you jump quite a lot.
I jumped back 3 feet in the air. I thought a bomb had gone off, in all honesty. I genuinely was like, what is that? And then just realised it was Dan being angry that he blew up on exactly 94.00. It was a disgrace. It was a proper disgrace that he blew up as early. But I think also Fulham weren't scoring all evening at the same time.
We had also just endured that Adama Traore spectacular miss, which
bad.
actually felt worse in the ground, but it still looked bad on the replays.
Yeah, okay. That's Dan's head loss of the season. I think I expected that, knowing you. I think everyone knows what mine's going to be as well, so I'll go on to you, Elizabeth. Well, certainly you know mine. I'm not expecting the listeners to know, but I know that you two
I know
will know mine.
yours because I work with you. Yeah, I mean it's hard for me. I think I'd like to think I'm quite a measured person, and
Yeah, you're not the head loss sort of person.
No, but also I quite often have been on the quick take after losses, which really sorts you out quite fast because you just have to switch on. You know it's going to be opposition fans watching. You don't want to give them what they're looking for. So with all that in mind, I think my personal head loss of the season, I don't know if you remember this, was in the pub after Chelsea at home when I was chatting with you and I went, yeah, well, we might have lost, but at least I'm not a Chelsea fan. Like, could always be worse. I mean, obviously, like, shout out to Palace. I was pretty awful. Me and young Fred Cooper really drowned our sorrows that night and said all sorts of things. But yeah, those are my two.
Yeah, that wasn't my personal head loss of the season, but maybe my favourite head loss of the season was Fred Cooper on the post-Palace pod.
Oh, unbelievable.
Where he decided to just effectively lie and say that Palace never sell out Wembley, which I don't think has ever been the case, but I just enjoyed that Fred just went with it.
So good. It was like you could see it coming. It was like an oncoming train when he started getting to like they have no fans, they don't have a proper rivalry, we're a bigger club. And he was just like bringing out the hits. He was really swinging.
Oh goodness.
Mine was Preston away. Obviously it was Preston away. Just never been more angry watching a Fulham match. Genuinely, that penalty shootout was so infuriating. I'm so desperate for Fulham to lift a trophy. We all are, obviously, but I love the Carabao Cup. I really think that like it is the competition that Fulham could and should almost prioritise above any other than obviously just staying in the league.
On that, just a little peek behind the curtain for the Fulhamish listeners. The next morning, me and Yasmin working with Sammy or in the studio, and everything Sammy said, Yasmin and I were trying not to catch each other's laughs and get burst into giggles because you would have hit the roof even more than you had.
That penalty shootout, and just safe in the knowledge, I was like, this is going. We all foresaw it. I was like, this penalty shootout, we're taking the most unbelievable penalties that's ever been scored, but eventually someone's going to miss because of law of averages, and we have somebody in goal. It might as well be me. It might as well be you.
Sammy, it's okay.
It is okay.
No, it's okay, mate.
It wasn't bring up your head loss and reenact it.
Do you know what I think? Not to set you off again, it's like...
I wasn't even there. You were
I was
all the way
there.
to Preston and didn't seem that bothered by it, which I found harder.
It was ultimately quite funny being there, to be honest. Like, the shared grief with everyone else as like it just got later and later. I do think the one thing that in hindsight makes that worse is our record against the finalists of the Carabao Cup was 3 wins and a draw this season. And like you could sometimes look at it and be like, wow, it was Newcastle, Liverpool, like we were never going to win it. But actually we were quite good against those 2 teams. So there, you know, that wouldn't necessarily have been our route to the final, but it felt like it might have been up for grabs.
Yeah. It was obviously, yeah. It was. I was obviously post Palace was and post Everton. I actually didn't lose my head too much, but that did really hurt at the time. Just the feeling of we've done it again, but I wouldn't say I lost my head anyway. And Palace was just incredibly. Preston was incredibly random, just because it was a 3rd round Carabao Cup match. Why do you care so much, Sammy? But I think I just knew the missed opportunity. And also Stephen Bender. I felt like
Not again.
No.
No, go on, mate.
I was really reticent doing that pod, calling out Stephen Bender too much, because in my head I thought, well, if he is our second choice goalkeeper, and we need not to criticise him too much, because if Burton Leno did get an injury, then I didn't want to go in too hard. Now it's the summer. I feel like we can just say, side a backup goalkeeper, for the love of God, for them. Okay, funniest moment of the season on pitch. So we've got on pitch and off pitch here for everyone, because I think there's often 2 categories. Sometimes there's great things that happen on social media, but obviously there are things that happen on the pitch as well. So Elizabeth, do you want to kick us off with this?
My favourite on-pitch moment, it was on a pitch. Oh, it was up north. It was February, and it was in a cup competition, and there was just some magic that happened where suddenly I heard over the tannoy an announcement, and 2 men wearing Zorb balls, no arms, walked onto the pitch. One of the men was Dan Kirk, obviously. And my funniest moment specifically was the beginning moment. It was when they squared off. They looked at each other through their Zorby balls, and they ran at each other, and Dan flew backwards and landed flat on not flat on the bottom, because obviously it's a ball, but I must say I enjoyed it very much. Usually I don't stay in the stands. I go down for a drink and a bit of food. But
no drinks were consumed.
No drinks were consumed. I was locked into the entertainment.
Okay, Dan?
I mean, that unfortunately has also made my list, but I'm also getting short of breath just thinking about it again. I still haven't quite recovered. Fabio Carvalho being photographed walking past the entire Fulham team celebrating after beating Brentford at home was so funny, especially because he missed that chance that leads to the winner. And there's just that iconic photo of him head down walking away and all the Fulham players behind him celebrating. That was quite a dark, funny moment.
No, it's good.
And yeah, I think that's it for me. This one, I don't know. There's this. I feel like this classifies as on pitch because it was in the stadium, and it was last weekend. Our friends at Besotted, I think, deserve a great shout out for wonderful content that they do, and fair play to them for recording after the game in the stands after that moment. And this 10-second clip, I think for me, is the funniest thing that has happened around a Fulham game this season.
It doesn't take away the fact that we've lost to our local rivals twice, whilst leading twice. and listening to those fuckers celebrating right now is quite annoying.
You don't beat that.
It's just the way he says it.
Those fuckers.
So good.
Those fuckers twice.
There's also an honourable mention to the home pod when we beat them at home, and there's one woman who goes, I bleed and hate Fulham in it, which is very enjoyable.
My funniest on-pitch moment was the minute silence at Selhurst Park. I still can't get enough of it. If you weren't at Selhurst Park, and if you've never been to Selhurst Park, randomly they have a DJ in the kind of concourse bit of the away end. It's quite fun, in fairness. I mean, it's the away concourse at Selhurst is horrendous. It's just you're canning like sardines. Trying to get a drink is next to impossible. But they have a DJ there taking up quite valuable space, in all honesty, blasting out shoot. I mean, they're playing like kind of Fulham tune. They were all of that stuff. And then it was obviously Armistice Day, which is obviously very important and sombre, and we should all respect it, of course. But no one told the DJ, and he was playing Hit the Road Jack. Oh, the last post is playing. And I just couldn't concentrate because the bugler's there playing beautiful, sweet music. And you can just tell that everyone at Crystal Palace is getting livid. That it's just like, hit the road, Jack. Don't come back no more, no more, no more, no more. And I thought, okay, 10 seconds, someone's going to tell him and give him a tap on the shoulder. But no point. Literally just the whole way through, he just railroaded the minute silence with Hit the Road, Jack.
Very similar to, was it last season at Forest Away?
Oh my God, that was so bad.
That was
the minute silence for the Queen.
Yeah. Pay our respects as everyone boos each other. It was, trying to get 20 to 50,000 people to all be silent in one moment is really difficult.
Yeah. Oh God. It killed me at the time. And as soon as I remembered it, I was like, hey presto, it's my funniest moment. Okay. Funniest moment of the season off pitch. This could be a tweet, a player interaction, something like that. I'll start this one. Palace related again. And it was, I think, Fulham Bone on Twitter, who genuinely made Crystal Palace believes that balloons were banned from the cup quarter-final.
Yes, I forgot about
that. Good.
I don't know how he did it, but it looked so realistic that for a second I bought it. I was like, God, that's petty. Oh wait, no, of course we haven't banned balloons. We're not like, I know that we banned bags and all sorts of things and flares, obviously, but I was like, come on, we can't be banning balloons. I know we want to win. And then obviously you realise it's fake. But Crystal Palace fans, so many of them did not realise it was fake. The head loss that their balloons handouts at Victoria Station would go up in smoke because Fulham, the draconian bastards that they are, would dare to ban their red and blue balloons.
We were getting called tin pot by like all quarters of football from that as well, because it sold
good.
every other fan base as well.
It would be quite Fulham, in fairness. It would be quite us to have banned balloons. So yeah, that's my round of applause. Dan?
I've written re-signing Willian.
That was a very off-pitch thing, to be fair.
That was really quite funny. Rodrigo Muniz going to East Midlands Safari Park on his day off.
Yeah.
And then the RAF Museum this week in Hendon, which is a lovely museum. And also
Scarborough.
Scarborough, that was the one I was going to say. That the cultural excursions that he went on this season, I think, were just beautiful. And, you see so many players head off to Dubai as soon as they've got a little bit of time off. And Rodrigo Muniz is really, I was going to say doing the best of Britain, but I'm not sure he is. he's like picking sort of like mid-tier places to go that are on no one's list of things you should do. But maybe he's been doing them in secret up until now and he's just working his way down the list.
Yeah, where does he go next? Well, like the Needles in the Isle of Wight or something like that. Like, it's all right, but like, I wouldn't go out of my way.
One last one as well, which I really enjoyed, because I was just going through the screenshots that we send into our group chat, because that's usually a good place. After we lost to Bournemouth away, you two did a quick take in your kitchen, Sammy James. And there was a Bournemouth fan who came in peace, offering his opinions on the game, and signed off by praising Sammy's choice of kitchen appliances in the background.
Loved my air fryer.
Loved the air fryer, and I think that perfectly sums up the two teams.
Yeah. Only Fulham and Bournemouth fans would notice each other's ninjas. Elizabeth?
I've got a warm-up one before I get into the
Love
one
it.
that could even be like my moment of the season. So my warm-up one is you getting in touch, you having taken that photo at the Liverpool Carabao Cup game last season of the flags on the seats and tweeting it and going sort of like baby viral. And then the club, some poor employee having to roll up every single flag. So some like annoying podcaster gonna take a picture of them.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You did feel really guilty as well.
I felt really good. And all I can comfort myself with is that if I hadn't have taken that photo, someone else would have, because it was the first thing. I walked into Craven Cottage, big semi-final, here we go. What? Oh, wait, they're the flags. I thought they were pointy white hats.
It was not. That was very funny. But my funniest moment of the season, my moment of the season was Luke Heathcote leaning over the barrier at Man City away, asking a girl for her number, and she shouting it back digit by digit. I just have never seen commitment like that. A love story for the ages.
Yes.
Great shout.
Fantastic. I'm so glad. Those ones that you worry that you'll wake up at night in 2 weeks' time and go like, we forgot the guy that got the girl's number at Man City away. So well done.
And I bumped into him at a game the other day, and I was like so starstruck. It's like you orchestrated the best meet cute in the world.
Yeah, you really were quite a fangirl at that moment. I was literally there and you were like, Luke.
There's additional context that is far too boring for the podcast about.
Okay. This now probably back onto a couple of negative ones before we go on to a couple of positive ones. Your what if moment of the season. So the one that keeps you awake at night, to use the analogy I used a second ago of, if only that hadn't have happened, what could have been?
Adam Wharton getting a second yellow card at 0-0 in the FA Cup quarter-final.
I hadn't actually thought of that.
I hadn't thought of it either, and I was going back through some of the games this morning, and I was watching the short highlights, which I actually realised I hadn't seen at any point because I was in such a void that I just ignored the highlights. And there was one moment where it cut, like the next highlight was Adam Wharton getting booked. And I was like, that's a weird thing. Oh no. And it brought back all the memories of that little stamp on Rodrigo Muniz. And I think for me, that has to be it. We win that game if that happens.
We win the FA Cup.
We win the FA Cup.
I actually feel sick to my stomach
Yeah,
even
sorry,
saying
everyone.
that.
Sorry. I went back to look at the highlights because I thought, I remember there being some chances in the build up to Palace then going 1-0 up. And I was like, is there one moment I can pick where it's like, if he buries that could have changed everything. But actually that was way more important.
Yeah, Elizabeth?
Mine is less tragic than Dan's. It's Liverpool away. I just think I know it's very impressive even to get a draw at Anfield or whatever, but we had a lead so late in the game. They were playing with 10. Rodrigo Muniz had scored and got like insanely excited about it. I just think that could have been another like absolutely incredible memory for the fans that were there. And it just wasn't. Like, it fell away, and nobody is mentioning it even close to the best moments of the season, even though the draw was very oppressive, because it just felt so gutting.
Yeah. I went initially for West Ham home and away. I actually think, but obviously the home game and Danny Ings' 95th minute equalised. We knew it at the time, 4 games into the season, we thought those 2 points are going to be important. It becomes less of a what if moment now, because ultimately, if Fulham had won that game, I mean, we'd have finished above Brentford. Wouldn't have hardly changed things massively. We'd have finished in 10th. Maybe you might think we'd have had those extra points or whatever. I mean, there's obviously 28 points worth of what if moments this season. The one for me is, what if Bert Leno had saved Tyreek George's shot? I still think Chelsea was such a turning point. I guess also with Palace winning the FA Cup, I don't think Fulham ever were going to finish 7th this season. So maybe it's a bit less what if. To be honest, I'm a little bit like, I've got those two down, but actually I don't know if I can beat Adam Wharton. That really was... What brought back memories of the Adam Wharton one was the Brentford game at home when you had the two situations where both Kenny Tete and probably more so Johan Visa could have been sent off for second yellows and they weren't. And I still think, and this is probably a wider discussion, but I still think that like VAR should have the ability to look at second yellow cards. When they're blatant yellow cards, it should lead to a red. I understand that we can't be doing VAR for every yellow card. It would take forever. But I still think in those moments, they do change games and they do change seasons. And Adam Wharton got away with that one that day.
Yeah. And also on the flip side of it, like you should be able to review a yellow card that has been given that results in a red card.
Yes.
Because that is also equally impactful.
Yeah.
Can I give two more just put them in there, that more existential, big picture ones? What if the March international break had been after Crystal Palace in the FA Cup? Because
we were flying.
We'd just beaten Spurs. We hate the March international break. Totally whimsical. Could have meant nothing. And then also the January transfer window. That felt like a massive what if moment to me now, looking back especially. Yeah. We could have done so much more, and we could have ended up having a vastly different end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Why do I bother with this shit moment of the season? Now, this is not for the worst defeat necessarily. This is just for those moments that do come up supporting Fulham, especially when you go to matches and you just are there going like, I have like, got out of so many commitments and all of that to do this today, and I have just fully wasted my time, money and effort because this was not worth it. I will start, and it's actually from the very start of the season, the trip home, and nothing about the company, but the trip home from United away on the opening day of the season. I had so much expectation of that match. I was doing a breakfast radio show on the Saturday morning. I slept on your couch for about an hour. And I didn't need to do it to myself. I did not need to do it. And to see the worst 1-0 defeat, what we now know, and we kind of knew at the time, this horrible Manchester United team. Andreas Pereira's pass.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, God.
Andreas Pereira's missed pass. And just to see a meek 1-0 defeat. I just remember thinking, like, it was on Sky. It was literally on Sky Sports. It would have been on my television and I could have just had some sleep.
For context as well, my sofa is, probably about 6 feet long. And
that was the best part of the evening, was your sofa.
Sammy James is, 6'3". It's not plush.
Your sofa was absolutely was far from the worst thing that happened.
And Sammy was up at like 5:30, 6 for work the next morning as well.
We'd also forgotten, we were going to film a quick take, and we'd forgotten that when you drive back from Old Trafford to London after Manchester United have played, there's a lot of Manchester United fans en route as well.
Well, you had your electric car, so we knew that we'd have to stop at a service station. And so you and I were like, okay, when we get to that service station, there's a 40-minute charging, let's do 20-minute quick take. And this place was rammed full of United bellends, honestly. They were everywhere. It was like an infestation. Yeah. There literally wasn't a spare seat that wasn't being sat by a United fan. And we were just like, I don't mind, looking like a bit of an idiot filming the quick take occasionally. I flat out was like, we're not doing it here. Not after that. I'll have to do it the next morning on my own, which was bleak. So, yeah. Elizabeth?
It's hard because I'm always trying to spin a negative into a positive, but I think it's Southampton 0, Fulham 0, or Fulham 0, Southampton 0. I was like really kind of sick that day, and it was just before Christmas, and I turned down like really fun plans to watch that game, and it was cold, but it was miserable. We were all kind of in a festive mood, and we went, and I just experienced like 2 hours of the worst football known to man. I just thought I came out of that and I was like, I understand the appeal of just sacking this in. Like just being like, actually, instead of spending my Sunday at a freezing cold Craven Cottage watching us unable to score against the worst team or the second worst team in Premier League history, I could have like been out with my friends. It was Christmas, like or like rested because I was really sick. That was horrible.
Yeah.
That was really horrible.
I so nearly didn't go to my own family Christmas party, like the equivalent of Christmas Day, to go to Southampton. In the end, my sense just went, probably can't miss it for Southampton at home. I'm sure it'll be fine. And then obviously, if I'd have basically like cut off ties from my own family to go to Fulham 0, Southampton 0, I think I'd have been in the same boat as you, Liz. Dan?
I've written 2 words. Carlos Vinicius. The fact that I had to watch him play football again this season, and not just play football again when we were drawing 0-0 with Southampton at home, watch him play football again when we lost 2-1 at home to Chelsea. Those are the moments. And whilst it's hilarious watching him come onto a football pitch now, when it's not funny is in the moment when you're like, we really need a goal and this is our solution. That watching him play football for Fulham at the moment does make me think like we really have got some stuff wrong still.
Yeah, there's still a few things to fix. Okay. There's 2 more positive ones. Probably positive ones. This one I'm calling the Gentleman Jim I Love Fulham Award. In honour of the wonderful Gentleman Jim. So just the moment where you loved Fulham so much. Fulham couldn't be beaten. Fulham couldn't be better. Dan?
I've written here Preston away in the Carabao Cup. And actually, to some extent, I'm not joking. Like that, there is like, this is why I love Fulham Football Club. It is going up to Preston on a Tuesday night, losing 16-15 on penalties to a team that ultimately nearly got relegated from the Championship. But outside of that, maybe I would go Liverpool at home, just in terms of like a pride. And I felt like this season it's gradually happened, but this season, public opinion has now completely swung on Fulham.
Right.
Like the public, like if you go and speak to people who aren't Fulham fans now, you get, oh yeah, you guys are a good team. Oh, you're having a good season. Oh, Marcus Silva's a good manager. Yeah, Alex Iwobi's playing well. And that, I feel like that game was a real pinnacle of it because Liverpool were on their romp to the title and were really not I think they were a couple of weeks off winning it. And it was on telly and we just showed up and we did our thing. And I felt immense pride in like, oh, I love you guys right now.
Yeah. Elizabeth?
Tears in the eyes for this one, guys. Liverpool, it was that April, last month. Liverpool at home is part of that. I was watching it not at the cottage, famously. I was in a beer garden where I live and surrounded by Liverpool fans, and I was the only one in a Fulham top, and it was so magic. And then just like walking around the city centre with your chest puffed out and the badge like really on show. And then the week after was a very difficult week for me. I lost my father, who was like the reason I'm a Fulham fan. And I think the I Love Fulham moment is on the way to Bournemouth. Like the result was so secondary that day, but it was like going to Bournemouth, seeing my lovely friends. Like you drove me with George and Fred, and then seeing all my lovely friends at the game and just feeling like obviously what's on the pitch matters, but like what matters so much more is this community. I felt very lucky that day.
I definitely should have let you go last here. That was wonderful. That was lovely. And now I'm going to say something stupid. Mine was post Brentford away. So there were no trains to Brentford away. And so I line biked it with George back to Hammersmith, and we went to Craft Beer Co. and we did a wonderful quick take. And actually there was a lovely group of people at the Craft Beer Co. that day that had done the same thing. And it just, it was a nice sunny day. It was on a line bike on the cycle lane, just flying through. And a Brentford fan was crossing the road in his shirt, looking all forlorn. I just absolutely screamed on my line bike, "Brentford get battered everywhere they go!" And the guy just looked down at the floor and went, "Oh." And so basically me harassing a stranger in public is my I Love Fulham award, because I don't normally do that. I don't tend to just like heckle strangers, but I just thought, I'm on a line bike, why the hell not? And I just thought, what a great football club we support, what great moments they give us that I can heckle. If that Brentford fan's listening, I'm sorry, that's actually a bit out of order, but
it's quite funny because that is also then by default his I hate Brentford, why the hell do I do this moment.
I think it might be his I hate Fulham moment of the season, if I'm honest.
Yeah, if that poor guy sees this, just like, I'm sorry. Finally, this is the... Oh, by the way, Cess scoring at Wolves very nearly made this for me. Just because we were with you that day, and it was a wonderful day, but just how... I've never had this in a football stadium before. I was obviously delighted that Fulham went 1-0 up, and I was delighted that Ryan Sessegnon had his moment. But the fact that it was almost more your moment, as far as I was concerned, than Ryan Sessegnon's, I literally turned round to you, not to see what happened on the pitch, not to anything else. I was like, Liz! As if you wouldn't have been watching, as if I was there to inform you what had happened, as if you hadn't worked it out yourself. I was just so excited for you. So that very nearly made it for me. Yeah. But in the end, went for me. Verbally abusing a Brentford fan. Finally, this is the Judges' Choice Award. Now, this can be for anything, absolutely anything you just want to give an award to. We can call it the Dan Cook Memorial Award or whatever. But yes, we'll start with you. What have you gone for? Judges' Choice.
I'm not taking your one. Yours can live. You can just talk about him for a bit. I'm going to go with sort of a thing of being a Fulham fan and a wonderful handing over of the flame that happened this season, which was Josh King coming out and making his debut for Fulham in Cup, in League and all of that. And the stuff that came out after it about him being Tom Kenny's mascot, walking onto the pitch, about the photo that Josh King put up of when he was in the Fulham Academy. It was about 8 years ago, and his idol was Tom Kenny. And I think that's a lovely thing as we see TC come to the end of his Fulham career, that handing over, the passing the baton to Josh King, who has idolised him his whole life, I think is a perfect Fulham moment, and why we love this club, because other teams can go out and they can shell £50 million on a player and they'll be better than Josh King, and that's fine, but they won't have that. Yeah. I think that's lovely.
Yeah. Elizabeth?
19th of July 2024, the re-signing of Ryan Sessegnon and everything it brought. Like, ultimately, I was thinking about doing a Judges' Choice Award elsewhere, but I've just got to go with what my heart's saying. And it's that. And that day was so emotional, man. But then everything that happened after that, another joke Judges' Choice I thought about was Spurs away, which I love Spurs away as an away day. I think it's the best away day in the league. And he was subbed on that day, so I thought maybe that could work. And then I thought, maybe I'll give the whole experience of being in Wolverhampton my Judges' Choice Award, or I'll give that Spurs goal again, bring it back. But it's all of that. Like, I just can't believe that we let him go in 2019. Let him go is the wrong phrase. He went in 2019, and I just never ever thought he'd play for Fulham again. And I was really sad, and I really kept an eye on his career. And when he came back, I genuinely couldn't believe it. So that is my Judges' Choice Award.
Okay, nice.
If I can add to it, today, you guys might not have seen this because it happened just before we came to recording, he won Fulham's PFA Community Champion of the Year. Which a homecoming of, your boy's back, all of that, he's home, and then to come in and just contribute on and off the pitch, just like as a full story, I think is wonderful. And also, if you can just allow me to play another clip, if we can just slot it in, we were also graced with this moment when he scored at home to Spurs. Expressions, the famous Spurs fan who likes to do watch-alongs, and you can think what you like about watch-alongs on YouTube of grown men sitting in their offices watching games while people watch them. But we had this moment as Ryan Sessegnon buried the winner against Spurs.
Ryan Sessegnon! Ryan! Oh my God! Oh my Sessegnon!
Wonderful.
So good. He's it's just the story of the season for me.
Yeah, Expressions wins Dan's Judges' Choice award. This one was a bit of a difficult. I really I wanted to do a funny one, which was just like the Sanderberg penalty at Old Trafford, just because it deserves a mention, because it may be the best penalty that was ever taken. But also, I just wondered if at this moment it's just a poignant moment to reflect on a few Fulham members of the community that we lost this year, actually, sadly. And there was quite a few in a row, it feels like. Obviously, we have the Memorial Day. There was lots more than the four I'm going to mention. Obviously, we had Cliffy Dean, well-known Fulham fan, not someone I knew personally, but there was a wonderful minute's applause for him at the game on Sunday. The wonderful Patrick Barkley, who obviously we talked about with Dan Crawford on that podcast, and he's such a big loss to the Fulham community. Chris Frank, Codge Analytic, who it was really, really sad news to learn of his passing, and obviously your wonderful father, Elizabeth. But yeah, just thought this was a nice moment at the end of the awards, just to actually remember those who kind of made a big impact on the community. So they're my judges' awards, but obviously yes, the Sanderberg penalty as well. This has been so much fun. I really enjoyed doing it. We definitely need to make this, and this has to be annual. I definitely, and we will find a name between now and next year. We will find a name. Maybe we can make this a big thing. Maybe this is Half Moon Putney territory. Although it'd be a bit weird giving out a load of awards and none of the recipients are there to receive them. But
I mean, I could have come up to collect my Zorbing award.
yes, you did win one.
I did win one.
So
Go me.
yeah,
Maybe if Ryan Sessegnon learned
I
that
won one
he'd-
as well for biggest head loss.
Yeah.
So
Maybe if Ryan Sessegnon learned that he'd won half of my award.
yeah, maybe so. We probably could have got expressions to turn up as well for his judge's choice. But yeah, thank you so much, Dan. Thank you.
Oh, a delight. What a lovely season to look back on.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, thank you.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure.
We will be back on Thursday for another special episode featuring the three of us. We are doing an end of season This'll Catch On. So we've got some new songs and the best of the year. You're not going to want to miss it. So that is dropping on the pod feed on Thursday. Have a wonderful week and come on, you whites.
You whites.